My sister gave away my cat, so I pretend she's not there whenever she visits.
That's a fair response.
January marks 5 years since this happened, but it still feels like a week ago. It all started with my older sister bringing home a cat. It was 2018, and this was the third cat she's brought home in a 6-year span. The last two weren't with us anymore because the first passed from getting hit by a car, and the second one, quote unquote, ran away.
Oh.
More on that later. By the way, this comes from user SpareAsparagus7298, and if you want to submit your stories, go ahead and do it on the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So, she was getting over a breakup with her longtime boyfriend of 4 to 5 years and decided she wanted a pet cat. I was hesitant at first with getting attached, given our previous history with cats and other pets, and because how much our mom has always voiced us not to bring animals home because she doesn't like them, especially cats. But she coaxed me into the co-parenting situation for this kitten, and that I'd be his owner as well. With that, I agreed and figured since I was 16, I was older from when we had the previous cats, so should anything go wrong, I could intervene financially and support it with allowance money.
That's sweet.
Me and the kitten, Taiga, were inseparable. Anywhere I went around the house, he'd be right by my side. Whenever I went to sleep, he'd climb right into my bed and sleep with me every single night. If he was even locked out of the room, he'd scratch at my door and meow loudly, demanding I open it, and would immediately purr when I did. If I was cooking in my kitchen, he'd be watching me from the kitchen chairs, and when I came back from school, he'd come and greet me at my front door. He was absolutely everything to me, especially when I was going through a lot during that specific time period, and school was the last place I wanted to go. Seeing him was honestly the highlight of my day. Even to this day, I don't think there's been a sentient being I've ever loved more than Taiga. This cat's getting stolen, people. All right, I will refer us back to the title. All right, there are shenanigans are afoot with these cats. So if you cannot listen to a story where like this cat is being taken or where potential health hazards to the cat are incoming, if you cannot handle a story with potential animal passings and such, probably this is your warning. During late 2019, however, he was a full-grown cat and would go in heat and was starting to get destructive because he wanted to go outside and was spraying around the house. It's because of this my sister grew tired of him and would constantly voice how she doesn't want him anymore and that she wants to give him away for money. She would also jump on my mom voicing her grievances about having a cat she didn't ask for around the house as more of a reason to give him away. Anytime she'd say that, I obviously got upset and told her that she needed to get him neutered. Part of the agreement we had when co-parenting him was that I would be responsible for feeding him, buying the food, and watching him when she was gone, which was practically all the time, while she would cover buying and cleaning his litter box and anything else he needed. Now he needed to be neutered, but she didn't feel compelled to, since she no longer wanted him. She would give excuses like, I have work that day, or I don't have a car to drive to take him. Meanwhile, she was very comfortable taking mom's car whenever she needed to run her own errands. Eventually, I was fed up with her constantly saying how she wants to rehome him, so I straight up told her, if you do anything to this cat, you might as well find me a new home as well, because I will never talk to you ever again, and I will never recover from this.
Why didn't OP, if the issue was that they weren't yet neutered and there was a threat that I might get rid of him or her because of it, why didn't OP just get them?
They're young, 16, 17, so they're still at that age where it's like,
they didn't know.
I don't know if you can legally bring an animal in as a minor somewhere and like have it taken care of, honestly. I think it's always tricky when you're under the age of 18 to do anything like that.
Sure. But if the sister can, it seems like OP can.
I think the sister's older, though.
Possibly.
However, my sister just brushed what I was saying off as childish banter and refuted by saying he's going to be taken care of in a new home and you're not going anywhere. Basically saying life was going to keep going and dismissing me. I tried to say something back, but she wasn't listening because she was getting ready to go to the club.
To the club.
On January 2020, my relatives invited me to come on a cruise with them, but I was hesitant on going because of my last haunting conversation with my sister. But since the cruise was only 3 days, I figured nothing would happen in such a short period of time. So I went. Trigger warning. Trigger warning is here, folks.
No.
Taiga didn't come and greet me like he usually did.
Next story.
I frantically looked around the house, but I couldn't find him. When I asked my parents, they said they saw him a day prior and that he might have escaped. I asked my sister, and she said the same thing. Fair enough. It's not the first time he's escaped. I gave it 3 days until I started to fully panic, and to my anxiety, 3 days passed, and still no Taiga. At this point, I was devastated and didn't know what to do. My grades started slipping, and I was very dejected in school, barely talking to my friends, and my teachers were taking notice of my then current state. I'd be holding back tears in the middle of class because of how much it was destroying me inside that I didn't know where Taiga went. My school friends promised to keep an eye out for him and would send me pictures of cats they've seen around their neighborhoods, which eased my mind that he had people from different neighborhoods keeping an eye out for him, in addition to me doing everything I could to lure him back home. So I eventually put his disappearance in the back burner for my own sanity at that point. We gotta hold out hope. Taiga's gonna re-enter the picture here, okay?
Mm-hmm. He's coming back.
I need hope.
He's on his way back right now.
I need hope.
It's happening.
That Taiga's coming back. It was routine for me to wake up and check if any of his food that I'd left in the backyard was eaten, along with leaving his litter box and my clothes with my scent on it, and looking for him during my walks to and from school. Eventually, the pandemic hit, so I wasn't able to go outside much, but I still left my stuff outside in hopes that he'd somehow be lured home. During all of this, my sister got with a new man, and the next thing I knew, she brought home a baby French bulldog. And surprise, surprise, she left me in charge of taking care of him while she was gone.
One of the dogs I'm dog sitting right now is a French bulldog. He's a freaking menace. He's just a menace. And he's always making wild noises like he's an alien. Like he'll just be licking his paw and like visually it's so calm. He's like, and then the sound of it is like.
Yeah, they got those smooshed out faces.
I'm like, what? How does that even come out of your mouth?
They're talented. The French bulldogs.
The French are talented.
The French are talented. I was very confused as to why she'd bring home a puppy when Taiga was still missing. It felt like the efforts to find Taiga were very one-sided. In the end, even her owning the puppy didn't last long because she bought the puppy from a store. It ended up not being taken care of properly and passing away. One day in particular, however, I was extremely depressed because it was around 4 to 5 months since I'd last seen Taiga, and all the what-ifs were hitting me. My sister saw the state I was in, and when I explained, she said, "I have hope he's still out there. He's a strong cat."
Yo, if she's lying,
Lord, give me strength.
if she's lying,
Lord,
and says
give
that,
me strength.
it's gonna be wild.
So I used that as hope to not give up and that he truly was out there, probably just fathering cats or something. August 2020, still no Taiga, but I had discovered the Neighbors app and instantly put in a missing cat ad for Taiga on top of doubling down and putting paper ones around my neighborhood. The views on the ad gained 10,000 views and had a lot of replies, one of which someone said they've seen a cat that looked exactly like him.
Oh, okay. We have hope.
Ecstatically, I went to my mom, hopeful that my search might actually be over, but immediately she shot it down and said, quote,
No.
"I thought your sister gave away that cat." Ah!
John, we're going to get back to the story, but you're old.
You're as old as me now, pal.
I might be as old as you, but I feel like you have oodles more wisdom.
I've got some wisdom in this old noggin.
You got a piece of wisdom for me right now?
Always respect your
And I think the other piece of wisdom that I've learned from John is join OK Storytime memberships.
Yeah, that's freaking right. We have 60 plus hours of exclusive live streams on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays.
It's only $5 a month, so go to the link in our description, youtube.com/OKOP show/join.
Get it now while I'm still alive.
And now back to the story.
It was in that moment that I had my first derealization episode. But what snapped me back was what my sister said with how, quote, she has hopes he's still out there. So I immediately messaged her saying someone might have found Taiga, but that mom wasn't letting me go and that I needed her to come with. But she immediately shut it down saying, I'm not for this. He was destructive when he was living with us and I'm not willing to let all that back into my life.
She's still lying. She's still lying. The thing that
I would never endorse violence.
Jesus.
I would never endorse that. I would not endorse that.
The worst part was her saying, there's still like the fake encouraging of like she could still be out there, and then you freaking gave it away. Yeah, she instantly be gone to me. You got to do the you're dead to me look.
I was defeated. It was like everyone was against me finding closure and happiness, especially for all the agonizing months I went without Taiga. And then my mom made everything worse by doubling down, asking me if I'm sure because she was almost certain that my sister got rid of the cat. What started off with uncontrollable streams of tears flowing down my face ended up with me having a 7-hour-long mental breakdown so loud that all my surrounding neighbors were knocking at the front door and asking if everything was okay and contemplating on calling the police. But I didn't care.
Poor
the police
girl.
wouldn't have done anything. You needed to call Ghostbusters because your family are ghouls.
Poor girl, dude.
Your family are creatures from the Black Lagoon. Your family is a bunch of cryptids walking around pretending to be human beings. They're demons.
Also, the mother just forgot about the original lie and was like, "Oh, I thought your sister gave that away."
I felt like the worst owner in the world that I let yet another cat, one so precious to me, meet the same fate as my last two. The thing with the last two is I never found out the truth about what actually happened to them until many years later. I was told that they ran away, but that was a lie. The second cat I mentioned earlier was released at a park by no one other than my sister. And I never found that out until years after the fact.
The same thing.
I didn't want to fathom about what actually happened to Taiga that day, whether she actually did rehome him or release him somewhere. I was at the point that if I found out the truth, it'd break me to damages beyond repair. Regardless, I lost everything in that moment, and at that day forward, I harbored an immeasurable amount of resentment for my sister. I wasn't able to leave my room for a week straight. I spent most of the days sleeping in. I didn't even leave to eat or use the bathroom. I didn't even bother opening the curtains. I didn't think I deserved it because I let something like this happen again. I'm going to say I thought I deserved it because I let something like this happen again. On one of the days I was in my room, wallowing in my own despair, I overheard my sister talking to my brother in his room, and she asked where I was. He was shocked about how she didn't know about the mental breakdown I had, go figure, she's never home, and explained that I found out and how I never left my room since. I heard footsteps coming to my room and the doorknob twist, and her just slipping in a small, disingenuous sorry.
No, that's even worse than just saying nothing.
It was at that moment where all the immeasurable anger I had was summoned all at once, not to mention all the other childhood traumas she had caused that I won't get into, but the Taiga situation was the nail to the coffin of it all, and I was practically screaming at her that she was a whole liar and that she's a sadistic person who gets off seeing their younger sibling in such despair, and that I truly, sincerely hated her with every fiber of my being, that I was cursed to have a sister like her in my life, and that she truly was the worst sister to ever walk this planet.
Damn, dude. She took lessons in in Dakota-ness.
She got off easy, dude. And she still got off easy. Crazy.
Dude, she's been watching the stream. She's been listening to you.
During it all, she still tried to make excuses for herself, arguing that he was spraying around the house and she couldn't take it. But I instantly shut her up by saying it's because she refused to get him neutered. She tried offering me a present since I had graduated from high school around that time, but I immediately told her to get out and that I'm not accepting it.
I wonder what the present was.
Yeah, probably something worth $5 that she thoughtlessly picked up out of a bargain bin.
She got her a cupcake. She's like, I got your cupcake.
Yeah. In the end, she moved out in 2021, which further angered me because her whole reasoning for giving him away was because he'd be in her living space, yet she was leaving soon anyway. Regardless, I still saw her every other month, even to this day, because she visits often. But when she does come by, I leave my house for the duration she's around, because being around her, even just being under the same roof as her, is very triggering, and all my anger just resurfaces. All of my family members have and still view this whole thing as ridiculous, especially since it was over a cat, even going to lengths to make excuses for her, and that being family prevails all.
Is it the same?
Would they say the same thing if it was a dog? Would they say the same thing if it was, I don't know, literally any, like what?
It's the same BS of that sentiment. Sorry, I have a date in my mouth. Of like, family above everything, Family above your pain. Family above your needs not being met.
Family above everything. Except if it's you. If it's you, we literally don't care about what you want or what you need or the fact that you have this this animal, this cat that you love. We don't care because it's about you.
Family
even
above
though your family, we don't care.
Family above anything, including you. Not as part of that family.
There have been times they've guilted me for holding this grudge for so long because I don't know what could happen to her and that I'm going to regret cutting off my own sister from my life, but I don't care. I want nothing to do with her, and neither do I. I feel like you're in the right, OP. I don't even want to see her or hear her voice ever again, as harsh as that might sound. All she had to do was leave me and Taiga alone, and she couldn't even do that. Not even for her own younger siblings' sanity. Even when I told her this would happen, despite this all happening 5 years ago, the pain is still deep and it feels like it happened a week ago. And by the way, you can listen to full episodes with stories that are not this emotionally crushing for animal lovers.
Sometimes.
Because we really don't have a lot of stories like that are this, we have just bad.
We have bad stuff.
If you want to listen to full episodes with more stories, all right, go to Spotify, Apple Music, or Apple Podcasts, whatever your favorite podcast app is. Just search OK Storytime. There is some more relevant story here.
The only way that there could ever be forgiveness if the sister like truly acknowledged the pain of like giving someone's loved pets away, and truly, like from the bottom of her heart, with like showing how much she understood how painful that was, her action caused, to like from the bottom of her heart to be like, I'm so sorry, and like ongoing. That's the only way there could possibly be any forgiveness. But before that, there should be no expectation of OP to do anything with the sister or have any amount of forgiveness. It is totally OP's sister's responsibility to take responsibility and accountability for her awful actions. Before that, it's out of OP's court completely.
It would take decades for me to move past that.
You cat guy?
It would take decades, and no, I mean, yeah, I'm a cat guy, but regardless if it's like an animal that's my pet that I love, that loves me, that I have a bond with, and you're going to just disappear my animal.
Yeah,
we would have to be completely different people in completely different lives, and I mean, it's like people become different people as they get older. You know, it's like I'm not the same person I was 12 years ago, but it would take that amount of time to go by before I could ever become even close to cordial with this creature that is my sister. And even still, if we get back to cordial, okay, that's all it's going to be. I'm not going to hold any love for you. I'm not going to go out of my way to help you. I'm just going to tolerate you. That's all. You're done forever. But let's finish the story. Since then, I've sought professional help and have been fairly recently diagnosed with CPTSD due to these events.
Poor OP.
What is C?
Complex
PTSD. Okay.
Complex PTSD.
So there's times where I don't even feel that therapy is working because I just miss Taiga that much.
Poor OP.
All I'm told is to work on forgiveness for myself and not for her, but even that is hard. Now I'm the same age as her when she brought Taiga home that day, 22, and I truly can't picture me doing that to someone. All of these are permanent things that she can't erase or take back now, which honestly furthers my resentment for her. Every single ounce of this was avoidable, but she still did it, which is bigger than any middle finger to my face, honestly. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister how much I despise her and pretending she doesn't exist? Nope. Not the a-hole at all.
If you want more stories like this, search for our podcast, OK Storytime, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts.